We live in a world where we lived, in corporate, in a world where everyone spoke at a higher level. It's like, I think he said
buzzwords were sexy.
Yes.
Super sexy. Oh, I can't curse on your podcast.
No, listen, we are here. We having work and play at the same time. Okay, sis? Listen,
I got to make sure because my mouth... Sometimes my mom would be like, oh, Lord Jesus, forgive this child.
Listen, try to make mama proud there, because it ain't got nothing to do with me. I will say though, we can weave in and out. Yeah, let's just do it. So I know that you'll agree, enjoying myself while I work is the vibe that I'm trying to be on. So I want to invite you guys to Sidebar ATL here in Atlanta, Georgia. Sidebar, on top of the good food and live music, they have 3 different experiences. That means you can join me in the garden room, in the gold room if you want to try the top of the line hookah, and they also have the dungeon where I hear what happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon. So it's the perfect mix. If you're here on business or you want to blow off some steam after work, you can meet me at Sidebar ATL so that you can have a little bit of dinner and then turn up afterwards if that's your jam. So check us out, 79 Poplar Street here in downtown Atlanta, or you can call 678-800-0741. Let's get it. Work and play at the same time, right? Welcome to another episode of the Work and Play podcast. I'm your host, Ariel, and I have Miss Hélène Parker here to join me.
Yay! I'm excited to be here. I've been watching your podcast for a while.
Listen.
I don't always catch it on time, but then I'll be like, oh, that's a New York. Wait, how many did I miss? Oh, it's about to be a Saturday's binge watch. We're about to binge watch this on YouTube.
Listen, because I'm watching you over here, because here's the thing. I'm super Instagram, and I go on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, this girl is moving and shaking and interviewing folks, so I'm over here geeking out on you too. Yeah. I feel like it's mutual.
But you took it to the next level. You went from one podcast weekly, right, to 2? Are you at 3 now?
2, just 2.
2. I was like, yes, I'm gonna do it, and I was like, oh no, fam, I can't do it right now. I can't do it right now. I'm gonna chill.
It's cool. Well, you know what? You're
consistency though.
Well, you know, we're gonna get into your journey because there are lots of balls that you got in the air right now. So listen, we are all superwomaning it out here, right? So without further ado, would you please let the folks know who's in the room?
So my name is Hélène Parker. I am the founder and chief programmatic coach of Hélène Parker Consulting, which is a consulting company I founded about 2.5 years ago. And what we do is offer programmatic media solutions in the form of training and workshop consulting and then podcasting. And so programmatic, if you're asking, is simply a fancy word for digital advertising. That's all. So you're very familiar with that. You just don't know what's called programmatic, right? But it is simply like Facebook advertising. Everybody knows Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
But it's advertising outside of Facebook.
Okay.
So advertising on Facebook, you're scrolling through that one platform or Instagram, and then you're seeing an ad. So digital advertising does it outside of those few platforms that we know, such as the Google, the Instagram, and the Facebook. And so there's a whole world. And I'll give this last example before I go back into the intro, is that most of us, like most millennials, don't have cable. Do you have cable?
No.
I don't. I haven't had cable in years. And so you probably have Hulu. Do you have Sling TV? Do you have YouTube TV?
Got lots of streaming stuff.
All of those commercials on those streaming are programmatically bought. Or they're directly bought, and that's just the details. But it's automation, right? It's digital advertising. And so that's the type of work I provide.
Okay,
so like you're familiar with the ad already. You just don't know what's called. I'm telling you, it's called.
Exactly, because in this moment, what I'm understanding is when the origin of a word. Not that I'm a spelling bee champ by any means, but programming, meaning automated, meaning like the digital programming of the ad.
And I love that you build on the root, because programmatic, spelled with 2 M, exactly how you hear it, according to dictionary.com, is taking a task and completing that task using a program versus a human being doing manually. So we're automating the task.
Yeah.
So again, bringing it back to digital advertising, instead of me calling, let me give you an example, CBS or ABC News or I don't know, Hulu, and say, hey, can you place my ad? I use a technology, a program, a software where I input my characteristic.
Yeah.
And then it does the buy for me. So it's that automation is just the use of that technology. But you're already doing it in Facebook. We use Facebook, that technology, to automate the buy, but just within Facebook, right? Yeah. So I do it outside, and I teach people how to do it.
That's so amazing. Yeah. You just taught me
really cool.
2 minutes. What for a year? Well, I would say a year. You've been talking about the Programmatic Digest podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I tune in, obviously, and I think that I geek out sometimes. The data side of me geeks out.
Yeah, I'm like, very data driven.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes. But at the same time, I left data a long time ago for a reason.
It's overwhelming because of the word. That's it. Yeah. And so being in the morning meetup, being in Myron Golden's challenge, I realized like people don't understand. So I really need to break it down even further. Yeah. And I've had people, whenever I talk to people and I explain, they're like, oh, is it like this? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm gonna use this now.
Yeah.
Or is it like this? Yes, and I'm gonna use it now.
Yes.
And so I'm learning how to explain it to people that are not in the industry.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that word programmatic is known. So if I say I'm programmatic expert in a room, like 1 out of the 10 people will be like, oh, I know who to work with, who you're working with.
Yes.
So that's why I have Programmatic Digest podcast. I'm a programmatic media coach. I have a programmatic meetup, which is a community.
I love it.
Because it's niched to what I know.
Yes.
Like,
and the people who are looking for you, they know to look
for one avatar. Is that?
Yes. I remember what you're talking about when you were talking about what Myron Golden helps you think through, which when he said, what did he say about like perennial interrogative, whatever he said about questions, it stuck with me too, because we live in a world where we lived, in corporate, in a world where everyone spoke at a higher level. It's like, I think he said
those words were sexy.
Yes.
Super sexy. Oh, I can't curse on your podcast.
No, listen, we are here. We having work and play at the same time. Okay, sis? Listen,
I got to make sure, because my mouth... Sometimes my mom would be like, oh, Lord Jesus, forgive this child.
Listen, try to make mama proud there, because it ain't got nothing to do with me. I will say though, we can weave in and out. Yeah, let's just do it. Because I was thinking about that. We try to appeal to the adult in people, and we don't necessarily try to appeal to the children.
Little kid. And that's what he said to me when I was trying to tell him, like, hey, I think I know my avatar. I have serious problem with my messaging at that time. And he was like, well, you got to talk to the little kid. I was like, what you mean, the little kid? He's like, how would you explain it to a 7-year-old, 6-year-old? I said, maybe this way. And then he said, well, the little kid in you needs to connect with the little kid in them.
Yeah.
So how are you going to connect the dot?
Yeah.
And now, even in my newsletter, I try to stay authentic and use words that I know I'll use on a daily basis. Yeah. And sometimes, the coach hat comes on and then some buzzwords are thrown in it. But I try to reel it back and be like, I would rather somebody think I don't know how to write like 12 grades now, even though I know I'm a really great writer, because I want them to know, like I want them to understand.
Yeah, and I bet if you throw a couple F-bombs in there, they might really get it.
I've been using thing, I've been using it, you finna know.
Really?
No, not anymore.
All right, so here's the thing.
Okay.
Speaking of which, going back to our younger selves.
Oh, yeah.
One, now you are this programmatic coach, programmatic like ecosystem of sorts. But there was a Hélène before now.
Yeah,
so let's go back there. Where are you from, by the way?
And I appreciate the question, because Bryn, when she was on my podcast, she said when you ask a person, who are you, they automatically say something related to their work, and that's not part of our identity. Your work comes and go. I may be programmatic today, but not tomorrow, right? Yeah. And quite frankly, I don't plan on being programmatic in like the next 10 years. Because I have a bigger purpose.
Let's go. We're going to get into that.
Yeah. But I was born and raised in Senegal, which is a small country in Africa. And Senegal was colonized by France. That's why the first language is French. That's why my name is Hélène.
Okay.
Hélène. But they have about maybe 4 to 6 local dialect, local language. So I speak one of them. It's called Wolof. And Wolof is very, it's almost like an African and Arabic mix.
Okay.
So when you hear it, you pick up like some Arabic words, like we say salam alaikum, which Arabic people, like Lebanese, Moroccan, they'll understand as hello, salam alaikum.
Okay.
Or God be with you, or something to translate exactly.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised in Senegal, but my origins are from Cape Verde, which is another country in West Africa.
CAPE Verde?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's CAPE Verde, so VREDE, I think that's how we would write it in English. And they speak Portuguese because they were colonized by Portugal. And then my grandpa immigrated to Senegal. And then back in the days in the 1950s, there was a lot of Cape Verdean immigrating into Senegal. So there's like a big community of Senegalese. So like there's a lot of Cape Verdean Senegalese that live in Senegal and their generation and their kids. And so he found my grandma on my dad's side, and she's mixed Cape Verdean Lebanese.
Okay.
So I have a little bit Lebanese in me, I have a little bit of Cape Verdean, and I was born and raised in Senegal.
Wow.
And I moved here a few years ago for college, and I ended up meeting who's now my best man, my husband.
Yeah.
And then I ended up staying.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Number one, we talk about mixed kids all the time here in America, but that's just black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, actually over there the term mixed is culturally relevant.
What do you mean?
So the word that we use in French is métis. I think if you spelled METISSE.
Okay.
So métis means a mix of culture. So not so much a mix of race. And so I would be considered mixed there, even though I don't have black and white.
Right.
You know?
And that's the thing.
Because it's culturally.
Yeah. So and that's where I was even going with that, because there are 4 different traditions, if I counted that right. Lebanese, Senegalese, Cape Verde, and so it's just the 3.
Yeah, it's just the 3 and now American.
Okay, got you. So then how do we mix those 4 cultures in the world of Hélène?
So because I grew up in a country that was so diverse in terms of being open-minded. So in Senegal, 95% of the population, maybe 95, is Muslim, and then everybody else is Christian or non-Christian, or And so it was very much okay to celebrate religion, to celebrate God, they really normalized like God.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand. Like they normalized this. It's easy there to get married for like a Muslim and a Christian to get married. But in other countries, like literally all of my cousins have fallen in love and their husband are Muslim. They've been married, like my cousin Maggie, she just celebrated 20 plus years.
So there's not that like war of religions where you're from.
Yeah. Senegal is actually one of the countries that is known for no conflict. We probably had 1 or 2 conflicts in the whole history, maybe give or take.
Yeah.
And that was because like we were mad at the government. Like I know the most recent that was kind of bad was the president wanted to go for like a 4th term or 6th term, and it was like they only allowed 3 or 4 terms. I can't even remember. I can't remember.
So at some point somebody had to say.
Yeah, then the younger folks were like, "Oh no, fam,
Not
you
gonna
gotta
happen.
go. You gotta go."
And so when did you decide to move from, or would I say decide? When did you move, and was it your decision or like parents?
So I moved when I was 18. I did not want to move. I did not want to come to the United States of America, okay?
Why not? You didn't want to come to America?
No, I don't want to come to America because I was so in love with my high school boyfriend at that time.
Oh.
So he ended up going to France, and I ended up going to the U.S. And then my aunt, my dad's sister, forced my dad. And my dad didn't want me to come because he said I was not a good high school student at all. It's not that I was dumb or not intelligent. I am really intelligent. It's just like the school system was not for us. And in Senegal, just so y'all know, here you max the classes at 10, 15, 20 students. We were 40, okay?
In high school?
In high school, in middle school, in all them school with one teacher. It was one of us, and we were in table of 3 or 4s. But like in my high school, we were in table of 2s, but it was common to be like in tables of 2, 3, 4 people.
Yeah.
So it was like more mass.
Yeah. Now you said you weren't necessarily the best student, but like what type of student were you? Because I'm imagining like, see now your energy right now and like everything I know about you is super hype, but I can't imagine you being a cheerleader. I can't imagine.
I was not a cheerleader.
And then I know you got a little geek in you too. So like, did you just grow into a beautiful geek now, or like what were you like?
So funny. So I was definitely into sport, but I never considered myself like an athlete person. I played basketball, but I wasn't the best basketball player, but I was a great team player. And though I think I just took that with me in my adulthood. But as a student, I think I was very distracted. And I understood that as a college student. That's why I went to a community college, which is usually smaller. And then I went to a private school, which only allowed like 10 students in the classroom. And I really thrived.
Yes.
I needed more hand holding.
Yes.
Like I had probably diagnosed, ADHD or so. Seriously.
Sometimes those are the blessings. Like those close-knit communities, you gotta know what you need.
I think I was always a hype man though. I was always, because at school I was told that I was very talkative. I was very loud. I wasn't following the rules, not because I wanted to like, let's rebel. Yeah. More like, I just think this is like, why are you asking us to do these things? Just questioning. And so I got in trouble a lot for that, for talking back. And now I'm a podcaster.
Talk.
I'm a coach.
Yes.
I do training and workshops. That means talking all day long.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
So Dad is in here like, nah. She can stay. So what made him change his mind?
My aunt forced him, because he didn't want me to come because I had bad grades that year. Okay. And he was like, don't go. You don't deserve to be rewarded with a trip to the US.
Got you.
For summer. And then my aunt was like, send her over here since she's 18. Oh, here's another thing. In Senegal, in the system there, when you don't pass a class, you don't pass the grade. Okay. So let's say I had bad grades almost in all classes, but let's say you have bad grades in math, and you're in 11th grade, that one math class is gonna keep you back. Okay. Like you don't go to 12th grade and then you just retake that math class. Okay. Like you be an 11th grade student twice.
All over again.
Yeah. And so I never, technically speaking, graduated high school. I never did senior year in high school because I redid my junior year twice, because I did it one time and it was not good, so I had to redo it.
Math, was it math? That was your issue?
Actually, it wasn't math, it was French, which would be considered your English classes.
Oh, wow.
Literature, and then it was, I went to take a science course, and it wasn't it. Another thing too, like in high school in Senegal, you can pick either literature, science, economics, like a little bit like a mini major already. That's dope. You do this in your last 3 years of high school. Okay. And so when you select either scientific classes or literature, then those classes are around science. And so I was like, I'm gonna be scientific. And girl, then those physics classes, those chemistry classes, I said, this is for the birds, I don't want this. And then I ended up like, failing all classes, and it took me back. And I was in like a private Catholic school, and my dad was like, oh no, you're not about to mess this. So he took me to all girls school after that. Here? No, in Senegal. I'm still in Senegal.
He's still in kind of control though.
Yeah.
Wait. Is he in America or is he in?
No, he's still in Senegal.
And they're just like, take her to America. And he's like, no, I'm not taking her to.
So here's the timeline. I did my junior year again. And my dad moved me into all girls school at that time, and I had excellent grade. And then, since I was already 18, my aunt was like, well, in the United States, since she's 18, she can be enrolled to college. She just needs to take her GED. So that's what I ended up doing. Yeah. But it was against him because him and I beefed a lot when I was a teenager. Yeah. My dad was very like integrity, hard worker. And I take these values with me, but sometime when I was 16, like 2 years before this happened, I asked him to go to a party. He was like, yeah. And then the day of the party, I was like getting ready. He's like, oh no, you're not going anymore. I don't like this, whatever. And so I got pissed. I was like, oh, heck no. I'm still going to go out. And so I waited until they went to bed, and then I sneaked out.
That's when the rebel came out.
I went to party and so a few months after, my younger snitch sister, yes.
You said...
my sister Allison, Okay.
Talking about you, girl.
Yo, she's my best friend. My sister Allison went to talk to my older sister who was already here in the United States. And she was like, Antonia, what does it mean when this happens and da-da-da? And basically she was like, Antonia, what if I had a friend that went ahead and didn't listen to their parents and went out to party, whatever? And Antonia was like, this is super specific. Like, what's going on? And then Allison was like, well, Hélène did this and this with, I had a cousin and him and I went out at the same time. He was like my bodyguard. And Hélène did this and she was like, what? That's unacceptable. And Antonia snitched to my dad. Yes, I got some. Those are my best friends. Like, they're my ride or die.
She knew what she was doing, so obviously it wasn't that big of a deal.
No,
but it was a big deal for him.
For him, because he felt so betrayed. He was like, "There's one rule in this house: is no lies."
Wow.
You know, to him, like even stealing is considered a lie. Like you're lying, like that. You cannot do that, right? You cannot do that. So he felt super betrayed, and so for a whole 2 years, he didn't talk to me.
2 years.
My
silent treatment.
Silent treat. But of course, you know, good morning here and there, Christmas, how are you? But like, he used to be my best friend, and then it was very cordial.
I got you.
It was really cordial.
Now, I'm not a daddy's girl, but I envy. I can't lie. It's like we read the book. We Should All Be Millionaires. So that's probably where one of my jealousies goes. I'm like, oh, I wish I had a daddy. You know what I mean? I mean, I got a daddy. Let me not do that. But I think about like daddy's girls. So for you, I'm sure he shaped who we were up until that point. So like, what did that 2 years time do to you?
It was tough because then at that time, that's when I went ahead and took I did the second grade. I mean, not second grade, the junior year again. And then at that time, it brought me and my mom really close because my mom worked really close to that high school who was in the city. Instead of the other high school was outside of the city, and so I would ride with her. And when I wouldn't ride the public bus, she would just pick me up and feel bad for me and take me home. And so during that time, I really got close to my mom, and I think it really brought me so close that she helped me just explain certain priorities, and she was like, "Listen, you can have fun, but you gotta be serious with school." Because it's knowledge, and boyfriends are going to come and go, jobs are going to come and go, houses going to come and go. She said husband's going to come and go, and she told me, but your knowledge is your own. So make that your superpower. Make sure you are knowledgeable about something. And so that's when I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I started taking my classes more seriously, and sure enough, I got excellent grades. And so that's that summer where my aunt was like, okay, time to ship her here. And Dad, go ahead and ship that girl here. And my dad was like, okay, but she shouldn't have that, da-da-da-da. But like when I moved, it just brought us even closer because the distance. But now he's my best friend, you know. I think he was really hurt because I was really close to him at that time, and he looked up to me, and he had a lot of, like, my dad, he used to be like, oh, I need somebody to go wash the truck. Be like, okay, I can do it, Dad, but let me just translate into dollars. I need like $20. He'd be like, okay, I can give you $20, but you're gonna have to sign this and tell me, and I'm gonna write down. And he gave me a scope of work, a SOW, with information on it. And he would be like, you better make sure this and this and this is completed. I'd be like, yeah, I bet. Technically speaking, he should have paid me at least $300 to $400.
Daddy, you hear this?
Back in the days, $300 and $400. Okay?
Was he an entrepreneur?
Yes, he has his own company. He's an entrepreneur for sure.
And what about your mom?
My mom, she's always had that entrepreneurship flame as well, because even though she worked for incorporation, she always had the side hustles.
Got you.
Like always.
Are you still trying to get a leg up on your entrepreneurial career? Now, I told you about the Morning Meetup, the community that was created for the betterment of entrepreneurship. And we are cooking up some really cool things. Now, here's the thing. If you join today, you can actually get in for 60% of the original price. So if you join today, all you have to do is download the app, and I provided the link below so that you can join us. We have community, we have a book club, and it's the largest group that meets every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. to literally get ahead head start on entrepreneurship. So if you're still trying to grow, you don't know what your business is going to be, but you know you want to be an entrepreneur, this is the community for you. So check out the morning meetup, click the link below, download the app, and join us today. Now, you said your mom always had that entrepreneurial flame. You're the first person in a while that I've actually heard say that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the entrepreneurial flame has different like meanings.
And different,
for you, like what does that entrepreneurial flame actually mean?
Understanding that you can offer more than what you are currently in, that you cannot be boxed in. But mainly, I think when we are entrepreneur, we think income. So to me, that entrepreneurial flame was really reliant to that income. So she understood that she needed more than one income stream, and so that's why she had her side hustle.
Got it.
Yeah, and my dad, he always wanted to have freedom, financial, time, whatever you want to define. And so he worked for the same company for years. He's of course a baby boomer, so that's very common. So when he was close to 40 years old, he's 62 now, but when he was 40, that's when he launched his company.
Oh wow.
He has been very successful since. It's called Alano Petroleum International, API.
Oh, he's in the petroleum business.
Yeah, he's in the petroleum business. So he has gas station, but in Senegal. And so, actually, the funny part is that when I moved here after graduating from college, I came across, I think her name is Shama Hyder, and she founded Zen Marketing. It's a social media agency, right? Now I'm fast forwarding a little bit. And I remember reading about her and being so fascinating. And she was like, yeah, I started my agency with only $2,000 and this is how I did it. I was like, yo, I want to do this. I don't want to be in a cube. I was working in a cube. Yeah. And I wrote a whole business plan. I think it was 14 pages. I had a name, I had everything. I sent it to my dad. I was like, Dad, I'm gonna start my own company. And I was like maybe 24, 26. I don't know. No, I don't think I was 26. 26, I was with Jay. That was before. So it was like 23-ish.
Okay.
And he said, well, this is great. I think you will. I don't think you'll work in corporate for long, but I want you to get the experience. So just table this idea for now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I told him, I could have been, could it be like a Facebook right now?
Were you mad?
No, at that time I wasn't. Even now I'm not, because I then found a job in social media and I ended up hating it. Like hate so much that I was crying going to go.
Oh, okay. So now we got to get into that. Okay. So here's the thing. You grew up in Senegal. Dad obviously is an entrepreneur. Bomb lessons, by the way. Like SOW, listen, that's probably my pain point as we speak.
I'll never forget, he made me sign something. I didn't read it all, okay? I still don't read my contracts nowadays. It's bad. Don't do me. Hire somebody.
She reads her contracts, and she has you.
No, I have somebody reading it for me, because I know my strength and my weakness.
Yes.
And my team is my CFO, my husband. He'll be like, "Oh, goodness gracious, hold up, let me sit down. It's 25-page contract."
There you go.
He does it, but at least I know he's not in my best interest.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So let's get into your career a little bit. You come over to America. You're 18. You get your GED and go to school. What did you think you were like? What was your thought process of like picking a major and everything in college before you got to corporate?
I always knew I wanted to be in marketing, because I remember. So my mom was her journey was she didn't go to college, but she did a school certification, like trade school maybe, but in secretary. And so she got her secretary's whatever certification, and then she started working for airline company back in the days, and then she just worked hard and worked her way up. And then fast forward, she was a director of marketing for years for that airline company. And I remember seeing my mom with those big presentation, like Mad Men style.
Yeah,
because they didn't have no PowerPoint back in the days. No, she was, but I saw the graph and the sexy colors.
Oh, she's on the business side of things.
Yeah, she was in the marketing side. And so she would go and present, and then she had a team. And I remember going to see her at her office, and then seeing that she was like, with a big office or whatever, computer, really bomb, heels, red lips, going to work in her. So that really inspired me, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do something in marketing.
You wanted to walk in your mom's shoes.
No, for real. her reels. But here's the thing, it was never my mom's calling to be that. Because now she moved to the United States. She moved in 29, which is after the 2008 or whatever. And she could not find a job because she was overqualified everywhere. And here she was a director of marketing, and then she ended up just starting to work. She worked at Target, and then she went to work for a hotel and helped clean rooms. And at that point she realized, and that's why I think she's the dopest person I know. And I'm not gonna get emotional too, but she just is so bomb. Like, you went from director of marketing, being super successful, to working in Target, to cleaning rooms, and there's nothing wrong with that. But her journey taught her, like, listen, this is the land of opportunities. I'm going to go and get my a certification in nursing. And she did. She started with a CNA and CMA or whatever certification she did. And now she's working at the hospital, and they're offering her, like, hey, if you want to be a nurse, we can pay 50 or 60% of the schooling, and you can do it in 1 year or whatever. So she's considering, but she always wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, even when she was in marketing.
Yeah.
So she's really following her passion.
Yeah. And when I say that she is her passion, like, she loves going. She'll go to work, and then people are just like, when she's not at work, people call her to come to work, and I'm like, sis, you got to put your feet up. Look, your feet are up right now. You can't go back to work.
Yeah.
Stop.
But she loves it.
She loves it because she'll be like, listen, I had a hard day today until I talked to this patient, and he didn't believe in God, and he asked me just to spend some time with him, and I was like, okay, well, what did you say? She was like, well, I told him about God. And he was like, wow, you know? And I was like, but the guy didn't believe in God, now he believes in God? She was like, yeah, I don't know what I said to him, but he believes in God now. But I said, wow. But she shares story to me, and I don't think she knows the impact. Because she'll tell me something, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, you have so much power, and you're sharing your light into this world. And she works in trauma. The department is trauma, so she sees a lot of really terrible things. Like, she was telling me she had one of her lowest day. She was sharing to me and my sister. She was like, there's this 18-year-old that got shot in the head, and, you know, not to be graphic, she saw it. Like, she saw the body come, and I think the 18-year-old didn't make it, unfortunately. And she was like, I'm usually really strong, I have tough skin, but that really hit me differently. And she said, you know, she just picked herself up. She kept doing what she did, and she was like, I prayed to God, I prayed to whatever. I was like, wow. Can you imagine seeing a body, and then you're just going to be like, all right, well, let's go.
Yeah.
There's more people that need my help.
And that's the thing about it is when we look at jobs that really, like, suck from the outside looking in, for the people who do it and that's their passion, it is their work. It's not so gruesome. Like, it doesn't matter what, right?
Yeah.
Think about all the jobs that we've had that we've hated, and the ones that people have hated and they love it. I'm looking at you like, oh my God, she's in Programmatic. Like, you guys, your episodes kind of give me headaches sometimes, but you love it.
It's very niche. Yes, it's bomb. It's really fun. And you love
it, right? So just imagine like that when someone finds their purpose, like, you can't shake them. So having a mom like that spirit is traveling with you while you're in, you know, getting your degree. You decided to go into marketing. You knew what you wanted to do. Yeah,
because of her.
And it's so her work ethic, you know, like,
yes.
And also, I'm curious, when you got into the workplace, you already have an example of success. You already have an example of who you want to be. When you get into corporate America, who are some of the people that you saw who you could look up to or who you resonated with? Did you see that in the workplace?
So, because I wanted to, yes and no. I think my direct managers were always really great. So my very first job out of college, I worked for Dominion Enterprises in Norfolk, Virginia, and it's a marketing firm. And my manager at that time, Tammy, she was like younger, and she's Asian. And when I say younger, she's probably like maybe 8 years older than me. I'm 32, so at the time I was in my 20s. She was maybe in her early 30s.
Okay.
And so in the books, you learn that your managers are old, white, different. But the fact that she was from a different background, like, it started introducing me to diversity in the workplace that people did not maybe experience as soon. And I didn't experience that diversity after. That's a story that's coming up.
So you started off with diversity.
Yeah. And then...
And a bomb mom.
So Tammy was really great. I think because she was so cool, and then she was just like, you know what? Like, managers don't have to be ASSHOELEs, you know, for the kids listening. So I think she was great. I think she was one of the people like, dang, this manager is really bomb.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was your first marketing job out of college?
Yeah.
What were you doing? What were some of the things that you like had to do as a young marketer?
I was a glorified assistant marketing coordinator.
That's what I hear a lot of times.
Okay. But I was really proud because, so in my last year of college, I found this internship with that company. And I was in social media. That's how I realized, like, I hated social media during my internship. Hate it? Like, I think it's just so complicated. It's just so, I didn't like the organic social media of things. Like coming up with posts, writing things, getting creative. Now I do it with myself, myself. I'm a content creator.
It's funny how life works, right?
God has his way. He sure does. But at that time, I just didn't want to write posts for the company.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
And that might have been the issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I write it for
the content that they were making.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And so I was like, all right, I really want to work for Domain Enterprises because they're one of like the biggest in town. And thanks to that job, I got noticed by a lot of other companies afterwards. And so right out of college, I graduated and I had the job already. Actually, I'm sorry. I found a job before graduating from college.
Nice.
I negotiated with our recruiter to let me talk to a manager, right? Even though I was an intern there, because their requirement was college degree first. But they hired me before I had the college degree. Honestly, like I had finals the following week.
So you were like, really, it was that close.
It was that close.
But
so the guy was really nice. Yeah, I was like, he's like, oh, we can. Yeah, I felt really empowered. They were like, we can hire you come June. I said, oh no, fam, I need the money now. I need the money now. I got to have this money.
I ain't mad at you. So did you work your last, like you were taking finals and you were working at the same time?
Yeah, I had started the first.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know, my senior year I only had like 1 or 2 classes left, so it wasn't as overwhelming. So.
Okay, yeah. So you said you were a glorified assistant.
So I was what is it? It was called lead. It's on my LinkedIn, but I think it was called lead generation specialist or something.
Okay, so you were the person who goes out and finds the leads. Or so the job description said.
Okay, so what I did. Okay, I remember now. What I did was like, so the particular department I was in, it was called the education guide, and it was like. Our clients were for-profit schools, and we were just holding it was almost Google for-profit schools. And excuse me, and Google for-profit schools. So and I think the student will just go on the education guide and say, I need a school in, I don't know, marketing, and then they'll have profile of it showing up. And then when they will submit a lead, then I will run the database, scrub it from the fake ABC XYZ tests, don't call me back, and then send the lead to something or somebody, I can't remember, to each schools, I think. Okay. Just letting them know these are the leads you received in the last day or so.
Candidates. Like students. Students who want to go to school for a certain thing, they are using this database.
Yeah, it was scrubbing that data manually. Got you. And so I learned how to use Excel at that job.
That's cool.
And I still use Excel.
Listen, will we ever not use it?
Excel is bae.
It is. It really is. I don't know if I'll ever leave it. As much as I have a love-hate relationship with data, but I geek out all the time.
Yeah.
So you learned Excel there. And you said that, because you had that on your resume, you could go anywhere. So what was the brand that was following you?
So the education guide closed its doors, but because of my character and my spirit, the new owners of that department, so they bought the department they bought the brand from that marketing firm. And so the new owners were like, we really like your spirit. We're going to close that education guide, and now we're moving you to the new parent company, which was employment guide. And And so at Employment Guide, I was a marketing analyst, and that's when I was introduced to like website traffic, website analysis. So I was looking at the website performance. And back in the days, what was it? 2012 maybe? I don't know, 2013, 2014, early 2013. They offered digital advertising ads, like digital ads, as added value to their print papers.
Oh, like a what do you call it?
Yeah, like an added value.
Yeah.
So they would be like, oh, if you buy the front page, whatever, to promote your job, your job posting. Thank you. We'll put it automatically on our website as well. Now
it's like this flip flop. Okay, we'll throw in a little bit of newspaper.
So I think that was a 2-year journey.
Wow.
Between Education Guide to Employment Guide, and Employment Guide laid me off.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I remember crying, like, I like to say ugly bee crying, like ugly crying. And calling my dad, like, what am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have this debt. At that time I was living with my mom. We had an apartment. We were living together, and we could barely make ends meet. Like, we had just moved together, and we were helping each other. And actually, our first apartment, I remember, was so small, so we only had enough. I don't know how she got her bed, but I didn't get a bed for the longest time. So I was on air mattresses for like quite a few years. I forgot that struggle.
While you were employed, your mom, you and mom y'all like thugging it.
Yeah, but my sister, what was Antonia at that time? My sister, I can't remember what my sister was. I think she was living with her husband at that time.
Okay.
And my younger sister, she had just moved from Senegal, so she was a minor, so she was living in my aunt. So we all moved into my aunt's house, and after a while, we just spread our wings.
Wow. So you guys are literally like figuring it out.
Yeah.
You get laid off, and I hear you say like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I got all these student debt."
Struggling.
You were stressing about like,
heck yeah,
the money and things like that.
Yeah, and money is taboo. And it's still taboo in some African families, and it was in mine. And the only money relationship I had was via my dad, of course, and my mom. But whenever they, couples, I'm married now, understand, but when couples disagree, they argue, and money was a big argument trigger, sorry. So I only heard something of money when my dad and my mom argued about money. And they were not yelling, shouting, they were just like arguing back and forth, and this you eating in silence, like, this is awkward,
Yeah.
But now my mom and my dad, they're separated. My daddy remarried, but that was the only relationship. So I had to learn with my husband now that I'm great at money, and it's in this group, the morning meetup, and in the Rachel Roger group that I'm in, that I understand that I control money. Money doesn't control me. So at that time in my life, I was in debt. I had credit cards. I remember doing one time only. I did the pay loan. What is it?
Payday loan.
Payday loan. Yeah, like advance your payday or so whatever. I remember seeing 70% interest back. I said, "Wow, I'm gonna have to pay it back." Yo, it was a big. I think I had borrowed like. Listen, I think I had borrowed like. I don't even think I borrowed $2,000.
70%. I mean,
and I ended up paying back that loan for like years.
That is highway robbery.
Yes.
No, I didn't even ask you.
I don't know if it was 70%. I'm sorry, but it was so high. I know I paid at least 60% back. I know I did.
That's ridiculous.
At least.
That's ridiculous. No, I didn't even ask you what city did you move to in Atlanta? In America.
Virginia Beach. So my family is in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area. It's like the city area over there.
What's the culture like over there? Is it like black, white? Because I don't even know very much about Virginia Beach.
There are areas where it's predominantly black. There's areas where it's predominantly white. But where my aunt lived, it was predominantly white.
Okay, so but were you like really?
It was a culture shock. Yeah.
Got it. So it was a culture shock. You got payday loans. Like, do they have payday loans back in
Senegal? No. Yeah. Remember when I moved here and I started my adulthood here in the U.S. So when I left Senegal, I was still a teenager, a kid.
Very
right?
impressionable. So, yeah.
So when I went back just to visit, I see it differently now. And so it's just to show like the struggle of things. And now when I lose a client or when I get fired, because I don't get fired afterwards too.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
We gotta get into that. So yeah, let's get into your journey. So you got a chance to see the marketing age kind of like transition from primarily paper to now everything is digital. The back end of all of that, right? So you got laid off. What was your next lily pad leap?
So I got laid off, and then I remember my dad telling me, this is honestly the best thing that will ever happen to you. When he said, I was like, I was like, what? I said, come again? He said, it's the best thing that's going to happen to you. So lucky, when you get laid off, you usually get, what is it called? Compensation?
Yeah,
what is it called? Something.
Now that you say it, I'm...
Yeah, exactly, right? I said it. So I think it was like only $3,000 or something like that. It was my salary, which is pitiful. Plus $3,000. I think they had counted a month of salary with salary. So $3,000. It sounds about right.
So you had about a month to figure it out.
But and that's why I don't think there's coincidence in this. I was like, I don't want to do marketing analyst. I didn't like that. I was like, I looked at job description and I liked media buyers, which was managing campaigns, calling the news station, newsprint, and everything. Since I had some newsprint. Some print news experience. I'm so glad God shifted me to. So I applied to a media buyer position that I found somewhere on Indeed or LinkedIn, and that manager called me and he was like, we got your resume, but I don't think this is gonna work. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, but I think you're gonna be perfect for another position we have. And what is his name? Joe Delat.
Nice.
That's his name.
Shout out.
Joe Delat. And I said, okay, so I'm down. At this point in my mind, I was like, you gotta keep you cool. But I was broke. So that was literally, so I applied like crazy. I went beast mode applying to new jobs. I was determined. I said, I'm not going to be unemployed. No, I'm not. That was not an option for me. So I applied everywhere. So I was laid off like on a Wednesday. That following Tuesday I had an interview on Monday, and then I had a second interview with them again on Thursday, and that following Wednesday I was hired.
Ain't that always?
It was 3 weeks.
That's so amazing.
And until today, every single transition that I had was not more than 3 weeks, 2 weeks and a half. I was like, no.
He got you.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
When you doubt, it's like crazy. But so I started hiring. So I went to work, and that was the second manager that really influenced me. His name is Gabriel Cohen. Okay. He's that white brother that you have that support the community, the culture, like
Advocate.
For real.
I got
but like
you.
for real, because you got the ones that I'm gonna do it just, but for real. Gabriel Cohen, right?
So what you mean is this is one of those, not one of those, but this is a white male who has supported you in your career. Because honestly and truly, in the in a lot of communities, but in the Black community, it's like you never know. You never know. And so that's why you emphasize no, he's really
he until this day. Like I invite him to my wedding. He came for my wedding and everything. Like that's how tight we are until this day. Yeah. And so Gabriel was like, okay, so I'm building a programmatic advertising department. This is going to be the first time we hire somebody just to start managing our campaign. We were outsourcing it to a company called Goodway, the industry would know. And so I was like, all right, cool. At this time, I need money. I was like, you can teach me whatever you want me to do. I will do it. I don't care. I don't care. But I remember Joe saying like the reason why he was interested in my resume is because he saw that I had worked at Dominion Enterprises. So that's why I said that company was like open doors to me, because after that, after saying yes to this agency, like couple companies call me back and they say, oh, you worked at Dominion Enterprises, stuff like that. So I was like, well, wow, okay. Yes. So that's why if you're a college student or you have a kid that's in college right now, make sure that they do those internships soon, And like I told my cousin the same thing. Like I was like, just intern everywhere you think, and go for that job, that company name,
that brand.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is what it is. You gotta go, but that brand helped me a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that, because like I feel like branding, as corporate professionals who do work for those large brands, it's kind of hard to detach that identity, our own identity as an entrepreneur, from that. So like, one, it's really cool to hear like how it's helped you, and I would love to hear like how it's followed you along the way.
Yeah. Well, after that, so I worked for that agency. Now that's when I was introduced to the digital ad agency world, and so I worked for that agency for maybe That was the longest agency job I've ever had. It was like, what, 2 years now?
That was the longest one? Was it good?
It was not on purpose, because I got laid off. If it was up to me, I probably would have still been working there.
You were
so
enjoying it.
God got me uncomfortable.
Sometimes he got to kick you in the pants for you to follow your purpose.
He kicked Gabriel out. Gabriel found another job. He moved to Chicago. He moved his whole family to Chicago, him and his 3 kids. And
you got laid off? So this is the second time you got laid off?
Yes, sis.
Oh, I'm missing it. Okay.
Yeah, wait for it. I'm finna be fired soon too.
Oh my gosh.
Great thing.
You ready to get into it? What was the next job you got? What's the one that you got fired from? What's the company that you got fired from?
The very first time I was fired was right before.
First time?
Hold on. Dominion Enterprises, while I was interning.
Oh, right.
I had found this job at TFC Recycling, where I was one of those operators that would weigh the trash trucks, and just type in the truck. That's it. I was just the operator recording the weight of the recycling coming in, and I got fired from that job. And I also remember calling my dad right away and crying in the car, and he was telling me, I think that's when he told me that was the best thing that ever happened. And at that time, right, it was just a job for paid bills, right? At that time, I was an operator, so I was interning. I was finishing the internship. Now I remember, I was finishing the internship. I got fired a month before graduation, I think.
Okay.
So like maybe a couple weeks before those finals, and that's why I was trying to hustle and get that job. I forgot that detail. Yeah, that was the first time I got fired, and that's when he told me that was the best thing. And so fast forward, I got laid off, and basically from my journey at that agency was that campaign manager, which in the industry we were called programmatic media trader or buyer. And so I was promoted to strategist and planner, and then when he left, I was promoted to the director. But I did all the work without getting paid for it. Okay, and so they laid me off on the day I returned from vacation at 8 a.m. They called me on a Monday in that conference and said, we're gonna let you go. And he was like, you don't even have to come to work. You don't have to service the clients. Our agreement will end in the next month or so. Here's your salary, and compensation after that was helped me stay afloat for like 2 months. So I was laid off. I said, okay, and that's when I applied to jobs outside of the areas, because I was like, I told my boyfriend at that time, who's now my husband, I don't want to stay in this area because there's no programmatic job. But he didn't want to move to New York, and that's where all the jobs were at the time.
Okay.
It still is a little bit. He was like, can we move down south? I just don't want to go to New York. I said, okay, fam, cool. So I started applying everywhere, and then found this job in Raleigh. Moved to Raleigh. He followed me maybe 6 months later.
Okay.
And then at this job in Raleigh is when I discovered that I really like training. And again, at this job in Raleigh, how long did I do? Okay, 2017. Maybe less than 2 years again. And I quit to get to that job that I was telling you before we started recording, where I got fired again. And then when I got fired, that's when I was like, that's it. I'm going to work for myself.
The best way to support the Work and Play podcast is by subscribing to the YouTube channel and by going to your favorite podcast player to subscribe and rate the Work and Play podcast. That's all you have to do. So if you are liking the Work and Play podcast, the content, the stories that we're sharing, and you know that this will help someone, go ahead and share the content to someone who could actually use it and help them on their journey to transition from corporate into entrepreneurship. Now let's get back into the episode. When you say fired,
Like-
over the last couple of years, I hear layoff.
No, ma'am. Laid off was like those 2 positions that I told you about where I got a
Yeah.
little bit much money for it, right? But fired was like, you's done. That's it. Clock out.
Why did
Bye.
you? So tell me, what was the build up? Because you got the job, the next job. What was the job that you got? Because obviously there's always like sunshine and rainbows before there's lightning and thunder.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So when I got laid off from that job as a director, it was a big mistake from that agency, because now I'm an agency owner. I can say this: they did not have a backup plan. And they closed. They went bankrupt afterwards. Within a year and a half, they were closed because they started doing some math, and they saw that programmatic advertising is an investment for the agency. Okay, if you do it well, which you can, call me, you can make good money. Like you can get good money out of it. But they made some math, and they were like, well, if we outsource to this company, we can cash in more. And so they laid off most of the department and outsourced to this one company. But that company kept raising their fee, I think, or something like that, because, it was a lot of work. Okay, they needed to get paid too. And so they ended up losing much more money. And then they lost this one gorilla client, and then they was the end of it.
Okay.
So
that's the reason that the last one ended. Because they didn't plan.
They did not plan.
Properly.
When they laid me off, that's when everything went down.
Okay.
They shouldn't have done that. Like I can guarantee the department would have been still successful had I been there.
And you were managing the programmatic
department,
part of it. They
So I was running the
underestimated-
buyers, the whole strategies of all of the campaigns and the buyers. I was running the people that were managing the technology. And then that means when you're a director, that means like sales, that means like account management or customer service or whatnot. So they laid me off, and then shortly after. But when I came to that agency in Raleigh, it was the same thing. So it was a startup. Again, I'm in startup mode. And I was like, all right, well, I did it at this other agency. I can do it again. And so I did. I helped. And then that's when I realized like there was a really serious diversity issue. Okay. And so that was 2017, 2019.
What was it that helped you identify that there was a diversity issue?
I was the only Black girl in the whole room.
So it was just you noticing. It wasn't anything that happened, no microaggressions.
Oh, no. And then, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Y'all ready for this?
I mean, because it's one thing to say, like, okay, I'm the only Black girl, but it's like the issue is.
I remember that manager, okay, he specifically told me, okay, you can come and take note to this meeting, but just don't say anything. I was like, why? He's like, no, because sometimes you can be too passionate. What do you mean? Well, sometimes you can be too passionate, and this is a client that is not gonna like that. I'm your best team player, right? Excuse me. I'm your best team player. You're not gonna stand up for the person who built the whole strategy for this client that you're selling, and you didn't tell them I did that. That's the thing. That's when I was like, okay, my manager was white and he was a man. And so I was like, okay, well, let it go. And then there's like microaggression, like you said, like other employees just coming to me and saying, oh, you're just too like passionate about this, in a way of saying like I was aggressive, which is it's like an insult for a Black woman.
Mad Black woman.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, we don't want her to get upset or get mad. I'm like, first of all, I never get mad. What you talking about, fam? You know? And so, long story short, I was the only Black girl. And years later, a couple years later, after we were not working there, I found out that my counterpart, who was doing exactly the same thing, was getting paid so much more money.
Wow.
So much more money.
What did this do?
I think he was around $85,000 a year, and I was at 65.
Got it. But you didn't know this at the time. In the moment, though, and you're talking about like you're owning these strategies, and you are, really like helping these companies stay afloat. What is this now doing to your psyche? How are you processing like your value in the marketplace as a professional? your identity as a woman. What's going on in your head in this moment where you're noticing your boss is like, hey, come on in, but don't say anything?
So a lot of things happen. When somebody tells you and make you feel like you're not worthy, then you believe it. You stop believing it. We read the 4 Agreement about when somebody projects their hurt, then it starts hurting if you have a lack of confidence. And so it really hurt my confidence. And I know now I have this high energy, but like it really tamed myself. Even like at the previous agency, I was told like, oh man, you're so energetic, we need to calm down and stuff like that. And I'll be like, but that's just me, you know? And so it's tough because now it's my superpower. Now nobody's gonna walk up to me and be like, yo, calm down. No one. I'll never allow it unless we're in the library. Unless my daughter is sleeping, or unless my husband comes to me and be like, that's the last glass of wine you're gonna have, baby. Okay, calm down. That's that.
Okay.
When he says that, I'll be like, shut it.
He's right. Okay.
I done did it again. This man came up to me. I'm in my PJs. He'd be like, babe, this is just YouTube. Okay, I be getting hype on YouTube videos.
Your energy, and even in the morning, 8 a.m., 7:45, lit.
And I told myself that I wasn't a morning person because, you know, being a morning person is like, oh my gosh, you're weird, right? For years I was like, yeah, I'm not a morning person. But then like naturally I started waking up at 3:30. That was my way of being uncomfortable. And then it wasn't as hard. It wasn't really.
What made you wake up at 3:30? You said your way of being uncomfortable. It sounds like there was a process in there. What made you say I want to wake up at 3:30?
So I always wanted to launch my course, who's coming out in February. And I had this idea in September 2021. I did not execute until like December. So in December I was like, yo.
You said December 2021.
September 2021, December 2021, so a couple months ago.
Gotcha.
So I told myself, literally in September, I wrote the whole outline. I was like, I'll bet I know how to do this. I might research this, but that's cool. Oh, I can write this. I'm already writing blogs here and there about these topics. I'm cool. Sorry. And so in December, I was like, I'm not going to go back to sleeping in anymore. And also that was a Nehemiah Davis. He don't say something, and I was like, golly, it has to work, or it has to work. He said, some of y'all are just sleeping in, and you have all these big dreams. And I think he said something about, oh, God gave you this idea because he knows you can execute, so why are you disappointing him? And in that same week, my mom had told me something about, you know, you're God's daughter. And just because he loves you, like that's already a power. So if he's giving you this superpower, why are you wasting it?
Wow.
So I was like, and then Nehemiah came and then disrupted things, and I'm like, first of all, who invited this guy again?
He really came and smashed the whole day.
I said, I need to talk to a manager right now. I was gonna pull out my Karen out of my back pocket and be like, who is?
Yes, he shut it down.
Yeah, he shut it down. But
you know
I needed to hear it.
I'm glad.
Because like it made me feel real uncomfortable. Like I started itching. Like I was like, something is not right. So I told myself I'm gonna wake up every day at 3:30, and from 3:30 to 7-ish, I'm only gonna work on being that millionaire that I want to become, that I am becoming. And I was like, in order to do this, what should I do? So in December, I started like shuffling ideas. And then my husband was like, but you got this course, why don't you just focus on that? And I was like, oh, bet, that's it. So since maybe mid-December.
All over the place when we have the thing right here in our face.
Tunnel vision.
Why do we do
right?
that?
I think it's because we're scared that it is going to work. And that's still like a 1% fear in me that like, wow, what if it actually works?
Yeah.
Like when Marlon came and did his presentation, he talked about consistency, confidence, and courage. And it just made me think about it. I was like, I'm lacking that courage. And I'm telling everybody around me, like when I train, I tell people you have to have the courage to stand up for what you think is right. Because sometimes clients will beat on you, but you're the expert. You got to stand up, have the courage to tell them that this strategy is that's not a word for shitty. It's done. It's dumb. It's a dumb strategy. No, not dumb. But it's not going to work for what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Trust my expertise, because I've worked in this technology for quite some time.
Yeah.
Do it this way.
Yeah.
So I'm over here preaching to be courageous. And I'm not even,
for yourself.
I don't even have the courage to stand up for my own self and to go after what God told me to go after. And here's the thing. At that time in my business, I was chasing agency owners. I wanted to help them run their media, and while running the media, just training somebody. And I did that for a couple agencies, and I was really happy, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I was like, I don't want to do this, because these agencies are talking to me like I'm their employees, and they forget that I'm a partner and I'm here to help them temporarily.
Oh, let's talk about that. Hold on, wait a minute. You know, we kind of skipped past this last job.
Oh yeah. You gotta reel me
so
in.
here's the thing. This is how my mind works. I want to definitely, we got to talk about that last job. But then I would love to talk about the difference from being an employee to being a partner. So first, we got to finish up that last story in your role.
Okay, so I'll finish up really quick. So after that agency, that manager that was just beating on my spirit, and then team members here and there, you know, not looking like me, were just beating on my spirit. At that point in the agency life, within those 2 years, 2 other black girls were hired. Shout out to Sonar and Lexus. They're co-founders of Digital X Media, and I partner with them very seriously. They're the one I hire their buyers to help my clients, so that the clients don't have to stress about their advertising.
Okay.
And I can just train the new employee, right? So I offer that the headache is covered because I have expert from Sonar and Alexis. While I do that, let's go ahead and train those new people so that the buyers can go on being their best life, and your new people can take over.
Okay.
So that was the model I was wanting to focus. So so we really connected, and actually they live in Atlanta.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just by them.
Okay, good.
So Sonar called me one day, and she was like, that's the pivotal moment that I was telling you about. She was like, Hélène, I'm gonna need you to take the next few days off, mental day, because you are angry, you're bitter. So apparently I was on a call with her and like some account manager, and I was so mad, and the way I came across was really with anger. She was like, I wasn't yelling at anybody, but she was like, I didn't even recognize who you are. You need to go find another job ASAP. And that time I was going through this whole thing with my husband where I wanted to work for myself. I was like, I want to freelance for real, full time. And so I told him, this is going to be the last job I'm ever going to have. That's it. Because I'm a terrible employee, but I'm the best team member you ever had. Everybody that worked with me always told me that, like, yo, you're dope. You know? Because I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
Like, I remember getting in trouble because I would put my junior analyst first. I remember getting in trouble with that same manager. He would come and say, this has to be done by this. I said, no. That means this junior analyst will have to work on the weekend.
And that's not happening. That's the best type of boss you can ever have.
And I wasn't even getting paid to be their boss. I wasn't their boss. I was just a senior to them. And my responsibility was to oversee, help them, just manage them, since they were junior analysts, junior buyers. And yeah, no. So I quit that job.
You quit. So this one, we quit. We walked away. Okay.
I quit that job when I found the other one, the last ever job I ever have. It was for a PR firm. They needed a programmatic lead. So, you know, other agencies like marketing agencies or PR agencies, they have their niche service, but sometimes the client will be like, oh, can you run this for me too? And then they'll start hiring. So that PR firm was like very successful in PR. But they had a media department that needed like my expertise, and so I went. But then I was like, okay, but I'm gonna go to work at 9 and I'm getting off at 5.
Okay.
And from 5 to whatever in the morning, I'm gonna work on building a business. And that's when I was like, I always wanted to start a blog, which I had started here and there and failed. Failed in the sense that I wasn't consistent.
It was a hobby.
And so I was like, then I'm gonna do podcasting. Because I was like, I like to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, what if I don't just use this gift? Let me talk.
Now, what year was this?
That was 2019.
Gosh.
That was 2019. You're getting it. So it was 2019, and so my husband was like, cool, whatever. We got that PR firm, and actually that PR firm was the highest paying job I had. I think it was like $85,000 a year, which was the highest I've ever earned at that point. Now you can earn that very easily. Again,
trip into it.
But so long story short, I know that my time there was temporary. I had given myself until the end of 2019, but I was cool working for a year there. So every night I was working on my website, and at that time I wanted it to look like a freelancer. So now it's changed, and it's still changing. That's just to go to say that you may start somewhere, and that's okay.
Yes.
And you're gonna keep upgrading.
Yes.
Like there's a reason why your iPhone. You don't have iPhone.
I do not.
There's a reason why.
Android, okay.
But even your Android, there's updates.
Yes.
Because they launched this software, and then people are like, yo, this is dumb. There's a kink. They're like, oh, let me fix it. And then they update it. So don't be afraid to start ugly, right? Shout out to Kelly.
Facts.
Do it ugly brand. So I did it really ugly. And I had some investment to do. Like I remember helping my friend, asking my friend Ryan, hey, can you just do this website the way you did hers? Because hers was like a resume for herself, and she had that for years. She was just living, she was just working. And so she did it somewhat, and then she got busy, so I got impatient. I was like, let me go finish it. And so I hired another freelancer and paid him, but he switched it, and then I hired somebody else to finish it, and then he switched it. So I ended up learning and finishing the WordPress site.
Yourself?
Yes, sis.
Talk about who, not how, child. You were doing the how all day.
Now, like I'm always this close of switching my website to Wix. Cause I'm like, yo, girl. WordPress be too much, okay? They be too much.
Wix girl, I'm a Wix girl. So I understand.
I'm these close.
Yeah.
But luckily, I hired a who last year, and she takes care of my website now.
Nice.
I don't even look at it.
So you are talking to your husband. You're like, hey, I'm ready to be out of here. You quit that last job, and then you walk into your last lead programmatic
job,
role.
yep.
And do you like it?
I hated it.
Ooh.
Because I was back in an environment where I was the only black girl. And all of those leaders were men, white men. And there were some female VPs, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they were cool, whatever. But I didn't feel like it was not it. The day that I realized like, oh, no fam, that's not it, is when they were joking about, I guess, pranking one of their clients that they had for a long time. I guess that was it's cool, sometimes you call your client. So sending them like a joke. But it was appropriating the Mexican culture.
Okay.
And everybody was laughing, and I was like, no, I don't think that's cool. I just didn't feel right. That's when I realized like, I don't want to be in this environment anymore. And that was like summer 2019, and they fired me August 2019.
What did they fire you for?
So they had a lot of like past year's billing issues. And so while I was there, they were like, we need help in your media department, because I was media. Can you help reconcile some of this media billing? Cool, you pull it from the platform. Honestly, it's one of those things that I hate to do in my job, but you needed to, because you just need to pull the billing and send it to accounting. But it was so much that it kept pulling me away from my day-to-day job, and they were expecting me to do it plus my day job. And sis was 9 to 5 for reals.
Yes, you set your boundaries.
I was not gonna stay until 6. So I was like, if you want me to focus on this, that's cool, but this is gonna be late. So I kept being late on my work because they were requiring me to be on time on this thing that I was not hired for.
Gotcha.
So I got fired for performance related. When I think about it, I'm like, yo, okay. So when they fired me, when I said I was so in peace, Arya, they said, this is it. We're gonna ask you for your badge, whatever, your parking pass, whatever. I said, oh, okay, cool. Oh, like right now, do you want me to finish my day? How does this work? I don't really remember.
Is it like, because this is kind of like your first time being fired for performance issues.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. I know it wasn't performance issues though.
Right.
I know it wasn't. But I'm great at my job.
But as I'm listening to it, because here's the thing. You mentioned getting fired, but, and I said this a little bit earlier, but it's like, organizational issues, when they lay you off, it's like this is business, not personal, right?
Yeah.
And then
for sure.
with
Nothing
this
is personal
one,
ever. This one was personal.
That's what I'm saying.
Heck yes.
It sounds so much.
The manager, who was white, a white man, he fired me. He was not okay with the way I was expressing myself.
Gotcha.
He was one of those things like, no, you will do as you go. And maybe now he realized it, because I think he's a great person. Honestly, all my ex-managers, I think like they're great. Who cares? I don't care. Matter of fact, the person who laid me off the very first time just hired me for my services not too long ago.
As an agency, which goes into you now being a partner. So I know you have you have been in the industry. In this whole conversation, we've gone through your career hurdles, your ups and downs, the decisions that you've made as a professional, as a Black woman, like all of these things. As an expert, I would say SME, right? Subject matter expert, right? And now you are a practitioner, you are a partner and no longer an employee, but you have also now decided to get your kick in the pants and start this course. So now that you're still doing the work, right? What are you teaching others in your course that's going to help them along in their journey? So
this client that I'm working with is the last client I'll probably work with when it comes to media activation. We call it media activation. So hiring me to help them build their department and providing the buyers. I will no longer be doing that. It's not something my heart makes me happy. I think the industry, an agency can become very toxic. And that's my way of saying no. But I remember being that person working for that agency and not thinking I had options, right? If there's one thing people tell me is like, I'm a go-getter and I always get things done. Like literally my husband was like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go get this real estate course and just make it official, because he's a real estate investment. I was like, oh, bet, where is it? When do you start? What do you need? You're gonna need an office. We're gonna move this desk over there. And he told me that last week, and then the room is already set up, but the class don't start until March. That's just how I am.
Yes.
So what I have to say to this is that now I love training others. I only want to do that now because life is too short. The pandemic reminded us this. So if you're listening and you're like, I feel stuck. What did Myron Golden said? The Law of Polarity. Like, you never saw a one-sided coin or one-sided paper, right? So feeling stuck is the worst side that you can feel at this point. Flip it. Just flip it. If think of your situation in this moment, that's being stuck, being burnt out, because it's not fun, okay? Being burnt out, which means you're overwhelmed, overstressed, okay? Overworked, underappreciated, underpaid, okay?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you don't see your family and you're too tired to work out. So now it affects your health, the way you live. You're in this position, that's the worst position you can be in. That's great news, congratulations. That's bottom. What do you do when you're in the bottom? You go back up. Now there are situations when you're still scraping the bottom, right? But you can't control this. You can't control this. And so I was trying to talk to I thought my avatar was like those agency owners, but it was me a few years ago. And so throughout this past year, as I was putting myself out there, being a content creator, putting more gems, tips, pouring into my community, a lot of individuals reached out to me saying, I cannot afford you as your consulting fee. My fee kept rising and it's still rising, okay? My hourly fee. And they were like, I just can't, but I need help. So that's when I thought about the community. Right now, we only have 4 paid members, but I'm so proud to say it out loud because every single week they come in and they make me feel like this is it. I don't care if we stay 3 forever.
Yeah.
But I'm helping these individuals, and they're helping me without even them knowing. Helping me as to be a better person and to also stay the expert.
Yes.
And so I was like, I gotta do this course. I gotta give the people an opportunity. And no, it's not free. Most of the training we get in the industry right now, and that's one of the issue, is some of them are free, some of them are not, but you don't know where to start. And all of the training that are offered are given by the technology. So there's a plethora, which means a lot of technology that you can use to do the digital advertising. So like Facebook is only one platform, right? Granted, 2 or 3, whatever. But Facebook has one training, it's called the Blueprint. So if you know you want to be a Facebook ad manager or paid Facebook, whatever, then you can go on Facebook, type up Blueprint. You have to pay to take the certification, but the content is free. I remember that because I took the content. I didn't pay for the certification.
Okay, you didn't.
And I this on my resume. I said I could not afford the certification, but I completed all this lesson.
Let's go. The information is in there.
Exactly. I removed it now from my resume because I don't want to do Facebook anyway.
But Mama always said they cannot take your information away.
Exactly. They can't take your college degree away. Well, now knowledge. So that's why I did like, yo, this is so frustrating. Like I get these people coming to me and saying, where should you go to go? I really want to learn about this industry. Where should I start learning? And I was like, well, this is what I would do. This is what I did. And then I'll tell them, here, you can get training for free here, and then here and here. And it was literally like this, that, and then this, and then this, and that. And I was like, this is stupid. That's stupid. Why would we make it so hard to build talent? And right now, if you go on LinkedIn, and I dare you to do, type the word programmatic and see how many jobs comes up. I just did a masterclass about it not too long ago, and it was like 20,000 jobs in the US. Any position, okay, from entry level, granted, it was from entry level to senior, whatever.
Yeah.
20,000.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
Doesn't sound like a lot?
That's a lot?
That's a lot. I feel like 20,000 programmatic advertising jobs is a lot.
Okay.
I think it is.
Hey, I don't know the industry.
And then I looked it up in my area only, and it was like 5,000.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We got to do something with this. And so the course is going to be progressive. Like if you're listening, you're like, listen, I'm stuck in this position. I want to leave corporate America. Then you call Ariel. She helps you transition. And then Ariel calls me and say, listen, this person could get an opportunity in marketing. It seems like they're interested in marketing. Advertising is never going to die. I don't care what your politicians are saying out there. It's never going to die. If advertising dies, and I don't want to break your heart, the internet will not be free. You're not going to get Netflix. You're already paying for stuff. Netflix, you pay for it. Yeah. Imagine paying for every time you log onto a website.
That makes sense.
It's not going to be free, sis.
That makes sense.
Advertising funds the open internet. We call it the open internet. And so it's important. Now, what programmatic does in the technology we use is that we try to make it as relevant based on the measurement capabilities we have within that technology. So I know not to serve you how to find your dream job content. I'll know how to serve you entrepreneurship content because it's relevant to you. And quite frankly, I would rather see something relevant to me than a lumberjack, than a lumberjack ad. Why? So advertising is not bad, and people say that it's creepy, but it's really not. And in every industry, there's a bad apple. Don't get me wrong. And Facebook is one of them. Facebook have sold our information so many times.
That's why we have such a sour taste in our mouth.
Yes.
Even as a data analyst.
Programmatic gets the bad rep.
Yeah.
But like Facebook done sold your... Listen, when you see people do the test, what is it? This is how I look in if I'm old or whatever. You know, when those...
the real...
Which Disney princess are you test? Those are hackers test. Yes, you can Google it, I don't care.
So they can scan your face or something?
No, but the information that you do, if you notice, every single test that you do, right, those dumb tests, will add you for your name or ask you to log in with something. You give them this information. You consented for that person to use your information. Now, here's why Facebook is wrong, right? This is where Facebook needs to take a lot more responsibility, is that they should never have allowed partners like this to be able to advertise on to serve, content within their walled garden. It's called a walled garden, within their garden that are walled. So that's where Facebook is like, well, we don't control, like anybody can come and post, oh my gosh, I didn't know that it was a hate speech. Come on, Facebook, you need to take responsibilities. But just to get back to the advertising piece, like if anybody is in this situation, there are options. And so you're listening, you're like, yo, I don't need to take this course. Cool, that's fine. I can show you how to take it, get all this information.
Oh yeah.
And you gonna get all the information, okay? It's out there. But I encourage you to just make a move. Just do it. Just make a move.
Excellent. So at the end of everything, like they're essentially trying to get from feeling stuck in their current role to a career in programmatic advertising. And so yes, you could YouTube University it all day.
Yeah, there's a lot of great information out there. I'm not gonna lie. There's a good amount of information out there.
But the what 2010 to 21 was that 11-year career.
Yeah, to 2013. So I calculated the other day, it's 8 years and a half, so going on 9.
Of figuring this industry out.
So in the digital marketing space is 10 years plus, but programmatic specifically is 8.
That's literally 8 years of doing it.
Yeah, and so that's what I was like, I'm not gonna just pour another course out there. Every single lessons that I do, I really break it down, and then I give my recommendation, my expert recommendation. And so the first few modules is just training you through the fundamentals. So what is programmatic advertising? Why you should consider it? Why is it important for an advertiser or brand, or like a publisher, which is a website, or like an agency? And then we get into what programmatic ecosystem is, who are the role players, and then from there we talk about capabilities. And I think that's when it gets the most fun. Okay, the first 2 modules is just like, oh my gosh, you just need to know these people. Just know them. Because they is important. You got to know who they are. Yeah. And their roles. That's what I go over, the roles. And then after that, module 3 and 4 is when we talk about capabilities, and we dive into the targeting capabilities. So being able to target based on your location and based on your behavior and what kind of messaging you can give. It's not only that boring banner anymore. We talk about who, we talk about scanning codes nowadays, okay? So it gets really cool. And we can get really creative. We can get mad creative. But it's all consented, and people think that it's not, but it's all consented. I can't target Ariel Young unless she's given some type of consent.
Got it.
And the partner, I'm buying the data from the partner. But that's why when you check, you get that email newsletter and you say check to share your information.
Right. I have to be really conscious about that. It's maybe I'm like, I do want it, but most of the time I'm not. So you're teaching them how to navigate their career, how to build a skill set, all in one course, and you're supporting them on like going out into the marketplace.
Yes, and that's another really cool thing I am doing. Speaking to existence. Because a lot of these people are coming to me for jobs, and I'm like, but then those media holding companies, the big agencies are also coming like, do you know somebody and know somebody? I'm like, here they are. Oh, they're not expert enough, or they don't have the experience. Train them!
So you can fill that gap.
Yes. Yeah, but it's not in budget. All right, then I can't help you. I can't help you. I don't know nobody.
Well, that's why you're feeling the need yourself.
Exactly, that's why there's a need. Like literally, I've talked to so many people and told them, listen, this is what's gonna happen. They're like, we really need this. Just the other day, I was talking to a gentleman. He was like, listen, I would be considered your competitor for the publisher. So I'm on the buy side. So I'm servicing the people buying advertising. He's servicing people selling the advertising space. So he represents website with inventory to sell. I represent advertisers with money to buy the inventory to place the ad.
Got it.
And so he was like, I would be considered your competitor to some extent, but I just got to tell you, like, I was looking forward for this call because the content you're pouring out there is amazing. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it. That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
And so I told him, actually, I know these people, and he's like, we have a referral program. I was like, oh yeah, no worries. They're like, no, we have a referral program. I'll enroll you. And if you send people, that's cool. And that's it. Keep it like that. And that's when you go back to having a relationship with money. Mm-hmm. That's when I had to look at myself and be like, I'm glad he pushed me to say yes, because
yes,
that's work. That's my connection. But like, we think right now, you're thinking, oh, I know all these people, it's fine, just tap into my network. But I worked hard on this network.
That's a fact. Yes, that's
worked really hard on this network. I built a relationship.
And now you are going to get paid for it. That's energy exchange.
Yes.
Like you said, the relationship with money, you receiving that opportunity, that's energy exchange.
Yes, and so I told him I was traveling, so I'll do all the introduction on Tuesday, because Monday is closed apparently for some President Day.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this holiday again?
One as a
we can't have Juneteenth, we're gonna have President's Day.
Facts. Ain't that about it? Listen. Now
anyway.
you are doing the daggone thing, which is amazing. Teaching it, making connections. I love that you're still a practitioner.
Yeah.
So what is the course called?
It's called Reach and Frequency.
Reach and Frequency.
Which are two metrics that are very sexy to advertisers.
Okay.
The reach is just like, how much reach can you get with your dollars? How much can you stretch that dollar and gain as much awareness with that dollar? Right? Reach, that's what a reach is. You can Google it. That's all it is. So very often, and somebody that works in digital marketing as a whole would be like giggling right now, like, oh my gosh, reach and frequency, what the fuck, right? Because like advertisers are always like, how much reach, even in Facebook you have reach, that reach metric column. And then frequency is how often are we going to serve that ad? And it's like one of those love-hate relationship with frequency, because if you serve the ad too much, it's annoying. Okay. If you don't serve the ad enough, then you don't get that reach and the awareness. So that's what I call. But I was looking I asked the community, like just on Instagram and on LinkedIn, I was like, trying to name this show. I want to start going live. Y'all submit some name, and then there's some names that are submitted, and then they said Reach and Frequency. And that happened to be in September when I wrote down that outline. I was like, this is going to be the name for the course. This is going to be the name for the course.
That's lit.
Yeah. I can't remember who submitted that, though.
Hey, thank you guys.
It was one of those polls.
I'm glad they did.
After that, I still randomly say, like, so do you remember submitting Reach and Frequency? Holla at me, please. Right. I want to just send you, like, something to say thank you. You didn't do it for it, but, like, I feel like thank you is the most underrated kindness nowadays. Facts. Please. Thank you, you're welcome, those things.
That's another currency, absolutely. Yeah, so for those of you guys who are watching it, we did do it. We're gonna do a little special thing. We're gonna give it to them in the description below. So if you want it, now here's the thing, you guys can get it, but the discount, now that we don't know what it's gonna be, but when you click the link below, the code,
there will be a discount.
Dope.
Because I'm hella nice.
Such a giver.
I'm too much of a giver. And my husband would be like, why? Why? You work hard. Get yourself paid first. I'm like, but the people need it too.
And it's energy.
But
so you better
he's
get it
my
while
balance.
you can. Get it while you can.
Once I give it to you, it's gonna be it. Like, it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be like for 60 days only, and then that's it. Because I feel like I know it's okay, and we're tapping into funnels here, but I know there's a strategy behind it, because you want people to take action. But ultimately, I've created this course, and it's here to stay. And I intend of updating the course. And here's the beauty about the course is that, because I remember being the only Black girl, I'm second generation immigrant, right? My second language is English. I remember feeling like a foreigner quite a few times, okay? And I'm American, okay? I'm American, I vote and everything, I'm a citizen, sis. But I remember being that one person and I could not relate, okay? And so the course, I'm doing it in English the first quarter of this year, but by the end of the second quarter, it's gonna come out in French, since French is my first language. And I hired a consultant to do it in Spanish.
Let's go.
And I was working with an American Sign Language agency. It didn't work out. It was a good learning curve for me. Not for anything bad though. It was just like, oh dang, I did not budget it correctly. And And now I know how much to budget now. So those 3 languages are going to fund American Sign Language, but I guarantee that American Sign Language will be out by Q3 of 2022. Because like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why don't we see people that have like, I can't even remember the proper technical term, but like, why don't we see them more, you know? Like, ASL is such a beautiful, like when I see somebody sign, I'm like, what? It's so gorgeous. Like when they sign, and I'm like, I love it.
Yes.
So I want to bring that. So I'm doing DEI for reals.
Absolutely.
For reals.
Literally all of the different walks of life.
And if you're listening and you're like, but I'm self-conscious because I have an accent and English is my second language. I was self-conscious. Sometimes I still get self-conscious.
I remember we had that conversation. I was like, girl, you talk about all that data stuff with your accent. Come on.
So if you're listening, you're like, but I don't think I understand. Yes, you can. You can understand. Yeah. You understand. You speak English better than some people that were born here that speaks English.
Facts.
And now I realize it. So my accent does not mean that I'm less intelligent or anything else. And like some people that know me dare to say they don't even hear the accent anymore. I'm like, okay. I hear
love
myself.
you.
They do.
Yes.
But the funny thing is that when I go back home, they're like, yo, you got an accent. What? It's my native language. How can I develop an accent?
Girl.
They're like, yeah, you roll a tongue like
you got a little southern in there. And then you say sis, you be like sis. I'm like, yes,
I'm true southern now. Like for real, I'm southern.
Yes.
I'm southern. I'll go up north and I'll be like, y'all something else. They're like, we don't say y'all, we say you all.
Yes, you better own it. You better.
I say y'all's. Y, comma, A-L-L, comma, S. Okay.
Exactly.
I say both of them. I say all of them. I say it all now.
I love it. I really like. Well, you know what? Your 5th course can be in Ebonics.
You know the crazy part though? Like when I first moved to the United States, my very first job, right, was Wendy's, right? I used to make $6.25 an hour, okay? And minimum wage was like I think $6.15. And she bumped me up to 10 cents more because of my energy, right? Yeah. $6.25 was something like that. I remember being like, yo, I am rolling in dough. And so one of the managers, she was Black, Lolita, I'll never forget it. And I was like, yeah, I'm bilingual, I do this. She's like, I'm bilingual too. I was like, oh my gosh, what language? She said Ebonics. And I remember thinking, what? Oh, I don't know this language. And she was like, that's why black folks talk. That's black folks talk. I said, black folks? Okay. But now, fast forward now, I think I speak it a little bit now. Because my 9-to-5 voice that I had was different than the voice I have now. I spoke, what we just talk about is I had a 9-to-5, a customer service voice. Yeah. That was different than my real voice. And I'm not saying that my real voice is Ebonics, but it was different. Yeah. So when she said that, I could instantly hear the difference in shift. And I was like, yo, that's wow. Yeah. She would speak so clearly. Not that Ebonics is bad, but just the shift was like, wow, that is different language. It right really there.
Is. It really is. So for those of you guys who are watching, listen, I know y'all have had just enough time, fun as I have, because literally we and I didn't know so much about you. We didn't get into your motherhood, all of that. So this is what you guys are gonna have to do. You're gonna have to stay connected with Hélène, so you can 1, stay connected with her journey, and then 2, go ahead and get that course. Because and can we make the code work and play? The discount code?
Yeah.
We'll make it work. Don't worry. We'll work it on the back end.
Work and play, yeah.
I'm still a little bit of a geek on the inside.
And it'll be anywhere from 30 to 40%.
Ooh, okay, guys.
I don't play games. The course is not cheap. It's by module, so I'm offering a la carte. So it's $5.99 per modules, or it's I think it's $2,700 for the full course. Okay. And the reason why I did a la carte is because when we get later on in those modules, the last chapters, like you really are going to dive into how to run the campaign, how to set up. I'll have technology examples. I'll have like strategy example, like when you have a campaign that you're running in educational, right? These are the type of metrics you may be asked to optimize, like make changes of. And this is how you translate this into the platform. Like, I'm going deep into it. I'm going deep into it.
All right, now, yesterday's price is not
today's price.
So whenever this course comes out, if the price has changed, listen, you better get onto it like right now.
I don't mind giving to 30 to 40% because I know it's going to be.
Okay. So Helene, thank you so much for joining us.
You know what? I gotta say this. Thank you for having me. Speaking about myself really made me remember the journey that you don't get to see until you're like 50, right? And the journey, just by saying the journey out loud, it reminded me why my whys are so strong, and my mom is one of them, and why I do what I do. And it feels so right. It feels so right. You can just leave me by myself right now in this corner. I could cry.
You are flowing and glowing. I can tell.
But I want to thank you for creating a platform like this. Because had I had this content back in 2014 when I was fired first time, I think I would have made the jump right away sooner. And I'm not regretting the journey, but I think somebody's listening and they're like, yo, Ariel's bomb. But you gotta make the move. And nobody else can tell you that your journey should not be your journey, because like you feel it inside. And God gave you that idea for a reason. Nobody else can take it from you. So like you have people like Ariel that are here that have gone through some of this journey that can set you up. And sometime I know our parents will be like, yeah, you gotta get some obstacle and have some challenge in life. But just learn from our mistake. Go make other smarter mistakes, please.
Yes, don't
go the payday loan. Not done this.
You heard
it. Don't do it.
You heard it.
Sell a pair of shoes instead.
You do not have to struggle.
You don't have to struggle. Your struggle will be different. Right. But learn from somebody else's struggle so that you cannot do the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you do, that's fine. But at least you'll be like, if she can do it, I can do it too, and better. Yeah. And that's okay. So
thank you for that.
I don't know if you know, but I think this is amazing. This is the bomb. This platform is amazing. And a month from now and a year from now, we're going to remember this conversation and be like, yo, remember when we were at just this?
Listen, speak it, sis.
We are. It has to, because it only goes up because it has to work. It has to work.
Yes.
So thank you for creating this platform and being you, because like you even inspire me to stay me. And I know you said I have a high energy, but sometimes I'm like, yo, I need to calm down a little bit because, you know. But sometimes I'm like, no, it's me.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm really loud and I curse.
And she didn't do not one this entire time.
Yeah.
She's been on her best behavior.
Listen, Brent's going to be real proud of me.
I love it. We got to get out of here because you got to go get some dinner. You guys got to contact Hélène.
Yeah.
Let us know before we close out of here, because I was going to ask for a word of wisdom, but she just closed it out. But what I will say is, how can they get in contact with you? How can they reach out to you?
My website is HeleneParker.com, but it's spelled Helene, so HELENE Parker.com, and I'm very active on all my social media. My podcast name is Programmatic Digest Podcast, and then like I said, the course is called Reach and Frequency.live. So yeah, so good luck to y'all, and then this is amazing. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You are wonderful. Y'all know what to do. Go out, be great. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next week, peace out.